Alright, so we're coming to the end of Dragonmeet 2019. My voice is gone. I've been doing a lot of demos and interviews and all sorts of stuff. It's been a really good day. I've had a really good time. But I'm going to take a quick look around the hall here, see what's on offer at Dragonmeet 2019. I'm not going to do a lot of talk. In fact, I might just put some music over this because my voice is done. And also, I don't really know a lot of what's... Yeah, I've got to admit, this, as I've said before, it's mostly a role-play convention. There's obviously some board games, some miniature game stuff here. And I'm not familiar with everything, so most of it will be just me going, I don't really know what this is. Look, I can see what you can see. So I'll just have a walk around, show you what here is, and you can have a look and decide for yourself. So let's turn this around and go for it. So that was my walkthrough of the trade hall and the third floor where we had the demo section and a couple of other trade stalls and so on, and where Modiphius has their center of trade and stuff, retail stuff. So what did I think? Obviously I'm going to go over what I thought of the con based on what I thought as a person, like, you know, as if I was going there just to go game and spend the day there, and as someone who's representing some companies and we're trying to demo and so on. I actually quite like Dragonmeet. I've been going there for the last 5 years. I even went to the previous one before Modiphius took over, and I think that was at the Ibis Hotels. I can't remember. It was quite a while ago. But I do have a playlist of all the Dragonmeet videos I've been making over the years, so if you want to go check that out, I'll put a link up here in one of these cards, and that'll take you to that. I can also put up a link on one of these cards or in the description below to my video log. As me and Carla went to go demo the games, and we took lots of pictures, and we had a couple of chats and stuff like that, and it was a really fun day. Yeah, and obviously Carla came to help me for the day. She was excellent, and she had a big influence on how I could spend the day, which was awesome. So, what did I think? I'll tell you what, my first impression was, and my immediate gut reaction after the con was, well, that was alright. You know, like, I didn't think there was enough there for me as a board game, tabletop gamer. But on reflection, after taking a day or two and thinking about it and looking at some of the footage I've been editing and putting up like that, and obviously speaking to some other people, I realized that actually, it's actually a pretty decent con, actually. And I'll say why, because I think about, like, what, say for example, what I take from it and what someone else might take from it that's not in the same boat as me. I'm very much a traditional tabletop board gamer and miniature war gamer. Roleplay games is not my forte. I don't really know a lot about it. My experience on it is very limited, so therefore I don't have a lot of feedback on that. But I do attend a lot of conventions and stuff, and a lot of them follow a very similar pattern of having big, you know, medium to big publishers, lots of indie publishers, a lot of Kickstarter games, lots of board games, lots of open gaming space, so that people can go play and try out new games. Big board game library where people can go borrow games, and it's like a community where everyone's just playing games. A lot of the time, though, I will say that in those situations, you get sort of groups of people that go down and they just play with each other the whole weekend. Whereas this convention is different. It provides an area where you can drop into games, so mostly roleplay games, but obviously they have the demo zone where you can come try out games, and they're trying to facilitate the trade hall where you can play games as well, but that doesn't work so well, and we'll get back to that. And then I look at it, say, from Carla when she was there for the first time. Some of the things that were highlights for her was, A, she got to meet some authors, some new authors, and pick up some books, get them to sign it. There was lots of little things that was more enjoyable to her, for example, like the edible dice and sweets and things like that, and there was all those type of things. You got like lots of cutesy crocheted dice bags and dice trays and 3D printed stuff, and lots of interesting art and all those type of things. Things that are generally not that interesting to see at a convention, but no other convention in the UK that I know of, and maybe excluding the expo, because obviously that's a larger scale, that provide those facilities. And of course, this also provides a lot of roleplay games where people can sign up for the day and go play a one-off little session of roleplay games and various types. And Modiphius does quite a few of their own, and they've got Cubicle 7 and a load of other publishers that do roleplay games all in one area. So thinking about that, I actually think it works pretty well. However, I feel like maybe the divergent of where they're struggling with at the moment is what sort of theme are they trying to go for? What sort of identity are they trying to have? I mean, if they're going to follow the lines of most other conventions, they'll just become one of the most average conventions. Personally, I think they should embrace what is making them interesting, and even go a step further and really embrace the theme, really go heavy down that pathway of getting some of the companies that specialize in these sort of things to come down and focalize it. I mean, one of the things I noticed from the years coming there, and also from this year specifically, I mean, when we were doing the demos, I had a few, about 5 or 6 games that I have available to demo, but the ones that were the most popular was Jetpack Joyride and Fistful of Meeples, which are 25-30 minute games that you can literally just pick up and play and go. The bigger, heavier games like Coloma and those type of games, which are 2-hour plus games, not interested. Chronicles of Crime was on the cusp as well, because even though it takes a little bit longer than the other two that I mentioned play, it actually is a very thematic and interesting style of game. The app is obviously very diversive. Some people like it, some people don't. But I think majority of the time when I demo the game to people, they are very impressed and really enjoy it. And I think this is where this convention is different to the others, because the type of clientele that go there are those clientele, you know, those punters, the people that are just casual gamers, that are, you know, predominantly maybe role players that want to just play quick, fast, fun little games. And I think if they specialize in those type of generics, or maybe in terms of, say, getting companies like Ian Schofield's Ravage, or Grimlord Games' Village Attacks and Everrain, very heavily thematic Ameritrash style games that specialize in theme over mechanics, I think those games do really well in these areas. And I think they should just go full hog into that, you know, embrace it, just bring it out, get everyone to do those things, to come down, have participation games, get people, like, have huge setups with loads of dungeon crawlers and really interesting thematic games, and let people just join in, participate. That was one of my feelings about the con. I think that specifically makes them unique. The other thing that is more of a detrimental side, I think I still struggle with the floor system. You know, they got 3 floors, the middle floor being this sort of podcast zone, where they have lots of RPG meetings and things like that. That's cool, it's not like a problem, but it splits between the demo hall upstairs and where they have like the playtest zone and the bring and buy and all those type of things up there, and then the trade hall right at the bottom. Those things should be closer to each other. I mean, I managed to get a demo table at the last minute for the convention, as I took over the events manager for Lucky Duck Games. I wanted to try and get in as many cons as I can and get the games into the hands of people as much as I can. I couldn't sell any of the games we were doing there because of the restrictions on the demo hall, where you can only demo, or if you want to sell, you go downstairs. I think that's an issue for most publishers, and especially for myself. I mean, we could have sold easily 20-25 copies of each of those games on the day, but we sold none, which makes the expense for us less worthwhile. You know, like going over there, spending the whole day there demoing, and not getting the games into the people's hands who are going to go away from there and go, they really enjoyed it, but that instant rush of buying the game is now gone. And then the flip side to that is obviously downstairs in the trade hall, where most of the people are just selling and don't really have the space to demo. They are missing out on that rush of people just going in, playing a game and go, actually, this is awesome, I might pick up a copy. Those two are symbiotically linked together. I really believe that. And I think if they want to entice more publishers and traders and Kickstarter designers and that sort of stuff to come down, they really need to figure out a system where they can bring those two together. I know they're talking about maybe moving the con next year to maybe Olympia or Excel, which I think will be a good thing. Obviously Salute runs at Excel, and that's quite expensive, so it might raise the cost of the publishers paying for the days. They might raise it to, I also heard them maybe talking about increasing it to 2 days, which also, that could be a good thing as well. But keeping in mind, London is really expensive. Tabletop Live is already 2 days, and it's not a cheap event to go to. But overall, I'm really big supporter of Dragonmeet. I really think it's a good, valuable con to have. It brings a change to the, you know, what the UK convention season is like. And even though at the same time, roughly around the same time, Paul Grogan's GridCon is going to be running roughly the same time. I think they're going to try and avoid it so that it doesn't clash like it did this year, where it's on the same weekend. But even if it is the same weekend, I'm not convinced that the two clienteles that go to those two particular cons are that intertwined. I mean, I think a lot of people who go to GridCon are more Euro gamers, or you know, affiliated with that sort of style gaming. Nothing wrong with that. I'm a Eurogamer. I love Euro games. And then of course the people that go to Dragonmeet are obviously more RPGers, casual gamers, those type of things. And there's nothing wrong with splitting the two, but obviously if we can separate the two, then it's better because we can support both conventions, which is great. Anyway, now that I've gone on a tangent about all these various things, I think overall I was happy with the con. I was happy with how busy it was. I mean, we ran a ton of demos throughout the day, and it was a nice mixture of young casual gamers between older, you know, returning gamers from previous years. I mean, I've seen people come up to me doing demos for them that have been coming to Dragonmeet for the last 2 or 3 years and remember me from demoing various things to them over the last couple of years. I've also seen some of the same people returning from Tabletop Live also coming to this convention, which is great, which means everything is growing, everything is getting better, and that's awesome. And obviously the other major thing about this convention is obviously I get to see a lot of people that I don't normally get to see on a regular weekday or weekend when I'm playing gaming. I got to see Kat from I Play Red, I got to see Bears and James Naylor from Magnate, I got to play a game with Mike B from Who Dares Rolls, and I get to see John Dodd and Chris Birch from, you know, every year at the same time for Dragonmeet. So this is all great things, and I definitely support this for the future. I'll be back next year for Dragonmeet, I definitely think so, and I'll definitely be increasing the size of the stand to get more demos going, because at one point we had people waiting around to do demos because we didn't have enough space, and I definitely want to rectify that for next time. Well, thank you for watching the video, and thanks for listening to me go on a rant here about all sorts of stuff. And the next convention for me, well, this is the end of the last year, this one for this year. I might be going to HandyCon in January, that's not 100% yet. And then I've got a couple more linked up. Definitely AirCon in March, Expo in April or May. Dates. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys later.